A lot of trauma in there. I feel like a lot of people don't come to terms with it. They don't realize that they have trauma. All these times they're looking at their body thinking like, oh, I don't like this about my body. I don't like that. Really, there's a root cause for all that, right?
Mm.
And the root cause a lot of times is like feeling like they failed. And I definitely felt like I failed. I felt like I failed at birth. I felt like I was failing at breastfeeding at the beginning because it just wasn't coming. I had lost a lot of blood during my C-section, so the milk was just not coming in.
Mm.
So it was really, really hard. And there's just not a lot of information out there. There's not a lot of support, past closing your incision. Most doctors around the world, you were saying, mentioning, like I said, 1 in 5 are having a C-section around the world. And most doctors around the world are not giving anything for advice other than close your incision, make sure there's no infection. Don't drive if you're on narcotics. Don't lift anything heavier than your baby, which mine was like almost 11 pounds. How does that make sense?
Quite heavy.
Like, don't lift anything heavier than a 6-pound baby. Like, what about a 10, 11-pound baby? So that rule didn't make sense to me. Like, from the beginning, it didn't make sense, right? And then I think just like after that, it's just birth control, and then like that's it. Like you barely even get your incision looked at. You barely get touched after. They don't do vaginal exams. And I just think like a lot of birthing people around the world, it's just kind of, you feel like you've just been like, pushed to the side and just left to fend for yourself. And so having to navigate that after major surgery is really frustrating, because as a health practitioner, I understand, when people go for orthopedic surgeries, like a knee surgery, what they're doing is they're preparing the patient for that. They're doing the surgery, then they're putting them on this 6 to 8 week rehab program where they're going through all the exercises, how to get strong, how to gain their function again, not just like how to make sure they don't get an infection and ruin the surgery that they had done, right? Like it's more than that. It's a way to kind of learn how to integrate back into life again, into living. And the problem with C-section is there's none of that. And so people are just kind of like either ignoring their symptoms, or they're just taking it day by day, but then Googling everything. And then like this person says this and that person says that. And it's like, okay, no, I just need to strengthen my core. So then they go and find this like workout video on Pinterest or YouTube, and it's like all this like mixed information. And a lot of that information is just like ab rehab. It's not like, oh, ab rehab for someone who has a major scar across their abdomen that's going to be restricting their core if they don't work on that. You know what I mean? Like it's just very general information out there. There's nothing specific for C-section recovery. And so that's why, from day one, I was like, I went through this for a reason. I did not want this birth. This is absolutely opposite of what I wanted. And I went through this because there's a purpose. There's a purpose for my life that I had to go through this, because I know that I'm here on this earth to like help people. And this is like a really big thing to help people with, and it's emotional, and there's a lot of trauma. And I don't take it lightly that people ask me for help or come to me, to work on their scars, because it's such a like vulnerable area. Because I tell patients like, this is where you gave birth. This area that I'm working on, I don't just like dig right into scar tissue like I would with like a muscle that was tight. I like respect it. And that, and with that whole like birth acceptance and body acceptance, like it's really important, and it's hard. It is hard, because what your body was before you had a baby was just your body. But now you've had a baby, and there's like all these changes that have happened. And now you have this like permanent line across you that may or may not hurt sometimes. And so it's a lot. and our medical systems are failing. They're failing people by not having the right information out there. Doctors are never going to say like, go massage your scar and do all these things. It's not part of their toolkit. But to say, hey, there actually is research that supports that, mobilization of tissue, of a scar tissue, doesn't matter where it is on your body, can help create more mobility in that scar, and so that you can move better and therefore less pain. Hey, that might help for your C-section. Or do you even know how to move your body properly, after you've given birth and had a C-section? Like, can you do proper range of motion in your pelvis and squatting and stuff like that. Are you trying to lift your baby from your back muscles or your arms? That's going to injure you. So again, they don't have to, give prescriptive things, but just to kind of put the idea out there, or have a booklet or a handout or an email that goes to people saying, hey, this is out there. You are not alone. This can help you. Do your own research, but this is a thing, And so yeah, that's why I created the C-section recovery method program to be able to help people learn to accept their births and their postpartum body and start to feel strong and confident in their body again, so they can start enjoying life and start feeling normal again, because a lot of people don't. And it can take sometimes months or years to get back there.